Yo, what is going on, guys? Today we're going to be going over the Sorceress class on 5 reasons to and 5 reasons not to play what class we're playing for Diablo 4. If you watched my previous 2 videos, then you will know that the Barbarian and the Rogue one is up, and now we're going to be working on the Sorceress. So without further ado, if you like the video, give it a like. If you don't, give it a dislike, but let's just go ahead and get into this. So reason number 1 for Sorceress is they are going to be your versatile spellcaster class. Every single thing that is going to be about Sorceress is going to be revolved around ranged spellcasting. Now, if you prefer melee, then you already know that Sorcerer is not for you. Getting into your different elemental forces, being able to kind of like summon like magical creatures, just being an overall like devastating mage is pretty much what this class is all about. You can utilize just one aspect of your elemental power, or you can kind of delve into multiple or all three if you want. Now, another reason to play the Sorceress is going to be ranged and AoE damage. Sorcerer is going to excel at dealing damage at a distance, making it pretty much the ideal choice for players who prefer to keep that range between them. With a wide array of spells and area of effect attacks, you can pretty much decimate groups from afar without ever having to kind of like get into any kind of fights. You're going to be able to control the battlefield with your frost spells. You're going to be able to control the battlefield with your chain lightning, and just being able to like pretty much utilize that massive AoE from a class. So whereas I was talking about the rogue being super single targeted, you're looking at your Sorceress to be the primary AoE damage of your group. Now, another reason to play Sorceress is going to be elemental mastery. Pretty much being able to tap into the primary elements of fire, ice, and lightning. You're going to be able to master one of those, pretty much going into a certain like mastery is going to synergize your combos, pretty much have a different approach for every enemy that you fight, and you're going to be able to adapt your spell choices to exploit pretty much any enemy in the game that you come across, being able to hit them with fire, and if they're resilient to fire, hitting them with frost, and if they're resilient to frost, hitting them with lightning. You're going to have that option, and whatever pretty much suits your preference, you're going to be able to like full send that tree without much problems. If you like just freezing enemies and like having them not move, that's going to be a really good playstyle. If you like burning your enemies alive, you're going to be able to have that playstyle as well. Now, getting into our fourth reason to play Sorceress is going to be the absolute crowd control and utility that you're going to bring to the group. Sorcerers possess like a huge range of spells that provide crowd control. You can stun enemies, you can slow enemies, you can create walls, you can summon protective barriers. Like, these abilities are going to give you pretty much control over the battlefield, no matter where you are, allowing you to dictate the pace of combat and support your allies. Now, what does that mean for you? That means that every group is going to want a Sorceress. Being able to crowd control and utilize the spells can really be instrumental to surviving like these harder encounters. Like being able to like turn the tides of any encounter with your slows and your CCs and your overall like just like function of the group is going to be very important to playing Sorceress. Now, our fifth reason to play Sorceress is just the overall just look at the like just the absolute aesthetic of the Sorceress, and just like being able to just the way that they look, just so like flashy. Like, they're one of the coolest looking classes out of all of Diablo series. Even in Diablo 2, the iconic just frozen orbs just clashing through the battlefield, just when you have a mage because, or when you have a sorceress because you're seeing chain lightning just go everywhere, or you're seeing like balls of like frost just splitting out. And just the one thing that I can say about Sorceress is they have a stamp on Diablo, and even with the wizard in Diablo 3, they just have that aesthetic being able to turn into an Archon in Diablo 3, like every single Diablo has that aesthetic from these mages, and throughout the, like history of Diablo, just being able to look the most like pleasing when it comes to a class. They are 100% the most just badass class when it comes to visuals. Now, pretty much in summary of that, you know, playing Sorcerer is you're gonna be spellcasting. You're gonna have long range attacks. You're gonna be able to go into your elemental masteries. You're gonna be able to crowd control, and just overall, just looking like an amazing class with every spellcast that you send out. Now, if you like the idea of just being able to be super destructive and just like being a master of the elements and just pretty much overwhelming every enemy that you come across with a multitude of attacks, CCs, then you're probably going to enjoy the Sorcerer. Now, with every pro, there is a con. Now, one thing that we get into when we talk about Sorceress is there are super limited options for for melee. Now, if you prefer melee combat and you want a class that pretty much gets into the brunt, then you're not going to want to play Sorcerer. That is just what it boils down to. Sorcerer is not going to provide that for you. Now, another reason not to play Sorcerer is on the same foot of being melee and like not being melee, you're going to be super squishy as well. So if you do get into an encounter where you are close range, you're going to be super vulnerable to getting one shot in these later dungeons at these higher levels. You're going to be super vulnerable to just getting smacked. You're really going to rely on kiting around, just blinking away your slows. So if you prefer that playstyle of being able to run, cast, stop for a second, cast, run, cast, stop for a second, maybe get a few like CCs off, then you know that's going to be that's the way that you're going to have to play this class, because later on it's going to be a squishier class. It is called the glass cannon for a reason. Reason number 3 is going to be your mana management. So throughout all of Diablo, every single one, sorcerers have been heavily reliant on their mana. And this is no different in Diablo 4. If you don't like relying on using a filler ability to get your mana in order to cast, then Sorcerer's probably not going to be for you. That is just what it boils down to. But if you're okay with that casting, need to build up mana, then casting, then you're probably not going to have too much of a problem with this class. Overall, this is only going to be a problem fairly early in the game, where later you'll be able to just pretty much ignore mana management for the most part, just being able to outscale later on in the levels. Now, number 4, I would say, and a big reason of the Barbarian and the Rogue is having that extra weapon slot. So, in this one, the cons for Wizards are going to be not having that extra slot, not having that extra weapon, to have that extra aspect, to have that extra stat on your gear. Like, it's pretty much you're limited to your staff or your wands, and if you can't really rely on more than just your staff and wands and your sources, then you're pretty much just at a disadvantage when it comes to having that extra skill slot or the extra equipment slot. But that is just going to be the 4th reason. If that doesn't bother you, then it probably won't get in the way too much. Number 5 is going to be the lack of versatility overall. So they do excel in high elemental damage and casting spells, but when it comes to overall versatility, compared to maybe like the Rogue, who can be melee or ranged or float around with traps and kiting, your versatility is pretty much going to be the same. You are going to be at a range, you're going to cast your abilities, and you are going to kite. No matter which spec you, or which kind of like elements you decide to get into, you are going to pretty much just be at the whim of being a ranged bursty class. That is just who you are. That is what you kind of get into. And if you can kind of get past that, then that's just what it is. But now, that is my 5 reasons not to. Remember that these reasons are all from my point of view, and a lot of this is kind of based on previous encounters with Sorceress, because we don't know entirely too much about the Sorceress in Diablo 4 currently. These is going to be kind of like just theoretical and just in the history of what we've played as Diablo, every single Diablo. Whereas like the mana management, that is just one thing that we're kind of looking at, and up to level 25, it was not really too much of an issue, but it was still prevalent. Like it was still there, and we kind of saw it enough just to be able to kind of put like a nod on it. You know what I mean? Just to be able to put a node into the reasons as to why not to play this class. But as you know, and historically, the later you get on into the levels, the less that matters. So know that these points can change at any point. Tomorrow they might release a battle mage, and then you have melee options. Will that happen? Probably not. It'll probably come in the form of one of the newer classes that are going to be coming out, where you'll kind of see a battle mage. But without any more information to give you, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't, just leave a dislike. Let me know what you didn't like about the video. Let me know what you did like. And if this video at all helped you decide whether you want to play Sorceress or not, let me know. I'd really like to hear your feedback. And without any more information to give you guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and good luck picking your class.